So, like Maria said, I'm Georgios Diamantopoulos. I'm founder of Zero to MVP, but today I'm here to talk about health. And with that, let me just ask, anybody here sits more than 6 hours? Raise your hand. Okay, a few people didn't. Good. I want to know what you guys do. Anybody here with back pain, like now or some point in their lives, in their professional lives? Okay. Wrist pain, forearms, anything like that? Okay, a few more. Great. I'm in the right place. I think this is a very important, it's a good junction to talk about this topic because I think we are the first generation that has grown up with all these wonderful technologies, you know, like the car, the TV, the personal computer, of course, because, and that's an important distinction because, you know, when we had the supercomputers that were, you know, really big and you had to walk around and carry physical things with you to operate them, but now we've managed to shrink everything into a screen. And of course the gaming consoles, right? And even for entertainment and food, you know, we still sit. We get in the car to go to the supermarket or to watch Netflix and so on. And, you know, what is the impact of that? You know, I'm sure someone has told you, well, you just sit all day, right? It's not that hard. You know, you don't pain your body that much. But actually, there's a lot of studies that's saying that we are getting a lot of issues with our spines, a lot of musculoskeletal issues, and even so with children as well. So what we're going to talk about is not just important for us, but for the generation to come as well. And my personal fear is that we're going to start seeing more of this. And personally, I associate this with you know, people who were unfortunate to be in World War II and, you know, live through that era and the hardships that came with it. And the person I keep asking myself is, how do we get back to a future that looks like this, where we grow old, maybe we're 70 or 80 years old, and we can still move around, we can still dance, we can still enjoy life. To get there, we have some challenges ahead of us, the obvious one being that all our work is done in a chair. Yes, we have standing desks, but we'll come back to that. And that is a challenge because our body is designed to make everything efficient, which means that any position that we assume for prolonged periods of time, our body goes, okay, this is what we're doing now, so we have to make it efficient, and then starts laying structures inside of our body to make that easier. So, you know, when we are like this, and by the way, this is I was surprised to see that in literature there's a term called Game Boy back, which is this, right? So there's a kind of, you know, game associated with tech that's starting to appear. And so anything we do for a long period of time, it becomes permanent if we don't do something about it. And stress has a big role to play in this. And we can talk about this image for probably the rest of the day, but they haven't given me that time. So I'll just say that there are neurological patterns, primal patterns, that work against us in our scenario. Because, for example, if someone shoots a gun, people go like this. And that is the stress response that the body does. Is you know, encoded to do. And even when we are stressed because, you know, we haven't delivered the project or there's a bug in production or whatever it is, our body still responds in that way, but in a smaller, less visible capacity. But the biggest challenge, and what I would like everyone to kind of walk away with today and think about, is that we mostly respond to pain. So, in other words, we wait for our spine to break, and then we do something about it. And this is reflected in both our health system and our kind of let's say, fitness approach, right? So there's no, you don't go for an MRI every year just to see if everything is okay. You go to an MRI after you had severe back pain. So it's up to us to turn that around, to say, hey, I want to be dancing when I'm 80, or whatever it is that you like to do. So how do we get there? First of all, ergonomic furniture is not the solution. It's good. I have a standing desk myself, but it only makes the symptoms, the impact less. And I actually have a hypothesis that when people get, for example, a good chair, they end up sitting longer. So, it kind of defeats the purpose. We need to do more than that. And I also think we need some different ideals when it comes to people who, put themselves out there as, let's say, fitness professionals. And, we see those people on Instagram who are jacked and go to the gym and growl and, push heavy things. And that's all fantastic, but I don't know how many of people working in IT want to be like this. So we need to start, seeing some more role models which are just healthy and they do some other activities. And we have to be careful with exercise, because exercise in the way that we think about it so far is not the solution either. And why do I say that? Because most of it focuses on the cardiovascular system, right? So your heart gets an exercise, and that's great. The muscles, that we have good muscles, bigger muscles, more able muscles, whatever. But our joints are much more neglected, and that's a real problem, because the joint system doesn't have a pump, right? The heart is a pump, and it delivers nutrients all over your body, but there's no such mechanism for your joints. Your joints you need to move so that your joints are nourished, right? They receive nutrients that way. So there's no hack that I can give you. We just have to reintegrate movement into our lives. We have to figure out ways to move more and to make it pleasant as well. So here's a list of 10 things that you can start doing today. Oops. Go back. All right. So first of all, please visit stateofhealth.tech. We're building a survey that we've designed to raise awareness around this, right? So like we have the Stack Overflow developer survey that tells us each year, how much we're getting paid depending on the framework or the language that we're experts in. We also want to highlight the kinds of issues that come up through our work. Now, YouTube Join Mobility and Practice Every Day. There's a ton of free resources and some paid ones around here and there, and try to integrate that into your life. It's very easy. It doesn't feel like exercise, and you can do 10-15 minutes a day, and that's really good. You can also get an inversion table, and I'm guessing that most of you don't know what that is. It looks like a table, hence the name. And you secure your feet, and it has some supports, and it allows you to turn upside down, so you can decompress your spine, right? So you're hanging upside down, and it's not as strenuous as it sounds, but it allows you to decompress your spine from all the compression that you had sitting on a chair. Very simple way, don't open your phone to order food, walk there. I know that it feels very alien for most of us, but it's a really good way to actually get out, get some air, get some good food. Sports, let's start thinking differently about sports. We don't all have to be competitive. We don't have to be the best at its sport, but we can enjoy, we can have fun, and we can be active, or go go have a hike in nature. Then also, this goes back to what I was saying about being motivated by pain, right? So meditate every day on the kind of future you want to have for yourself, for your family, for your children, and see what you need to be doing today to have that future. When you're at work, speak to your colleagues and say, hey, you've been sitting on that chair for, a couple of hours. Why don't we go outside for a 5-minute walk and then come back, right? And then you have some, an opportunity to also break from the difficult bug that you've been solving and think of a different approach. If you get injured or have been injured in the past, or if you have some pain, please be thankful, because not everybody gets that kind of warning. I've known people whose health has deteriorated very fast, and they had very little opportunity to do something about it. So, we have to be, oh, that's great. Now I can do something about it. Another good habit that you can integrate into your life is before you sit down, before you go to your desk and sit down and start coding, or whatever it is you do on the computer, or after you get up, stretch or move your joints. That's a good habit. It doesn't have to be a formal thing, but it will get you moving very often. And since we're here, we're in a conference, and there's lots of people you don't know, there's value in going and speaking to them and finding an excuse to say hi and, treat them as friends. There is a lot of evidence that that actually has health benefits also. And finally, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let me know your challenge or the kind of future you want to have for yourself, and I'll try and help out. I actually got jealous by the last speaker, and I set up a small raffle while I was during the break. So anybody who signs up on stateofhealth.tech to be let know when the survey opens, I'll do a raffle, and one of you guys or girls will win a free mobility session. Thank you so much.